Hi everyone, so I'm George Darrah, an investor at Systemiq Capital, a climate tech VC based in London, and I'm here with Oliver Vince, one of the co-founders of Basecamp Research. And our job today, in the 10 minutes that we've got, is to convince you that the future of biodiversity is intrinsically linked to the successful scaling of biotechnology in our economy. So we've only got 10 minutes or so, and counting, so let's get into it. I mean, Ollie, tell us a bit more about you and what you're building at Basecamp Research.
Yeah, thanks, George. So Basecamp Research, fundamentally, the mission of our company is to build the bridge between biodiversity and biotechnology. So fundamentally, we believe that biodiversity is one of the most valuable resources we have, one of the most important things to conserve. And biotechnology is an industry on the other side that is, to be honest, the only credible way of us getting away from petrochemistry-based products towards biochemistry-based products. So in theory, we can do pretty much everything we can do with petrochemistry with biochemistry. We just need to get a bit better at our biotechnology. So what we see is the two fields that are interlinked fundamentally rely on each other. Biotechnology companies fundamentally need access to biodiversity. Biodiversity fundamentally needs revenue streams. It needs people who will value that biodiversity, intact biodiversity, in the sort of industries. And I've spoken to various people over the last couple of days about different ways of incentivizing, of valuing biodiversity. There's obviously ecotourism. There's biodiversity credits. We think we've got another way. We're showing it works. We're working in 18 countries so far. We have agreements with all the landowners, with all the different groups around the world. We do a lot of biodiversity monitoring, and in turn we try and then monetize some of the data, some of the findings we make in the form of new medicines, new enzymes, new bioremediation fuels, new fuels, and then basically try and get that as a sort of ecosystem that's alive and working.
So Ollie, it sounds like you're bringing the biodiversity data in its genetic form into the biotech industry, which there have been attempts to do this in the past, and I think there's a question of why now, but also, how do you build trust? Why should people trust you with something so valuable as the genetic resources of, say, the Amazon rainforest?
That's a really good point. So on the trust issue, it's obviously core to everything we do. We are effectively an interface between two giant sets of stakeholders. One, which is, as you say, the Amazon rainforest, or say the Costa Rican government, trying to protect, trying to conserve their biodiversity. And then on the other side, you've got your big biotech companies who are hoping to innovate and hoping to make the new medicines of the future. Trust for those two worlds is critical to everything we do, and it's something we spend a lot of time working on. And in terms of why now, there are two real elements to it. One is sort of a political understanding, a political motivation to try and find new ways of valuing biodiversity. COP15, we're having big discussions, big negotiations around how we should be valuing the genetic resources around the world, how we should be using them, how we should be developing them into different products, different enzymes, different fuels, different medicines, and then also the technology angle. So technology has been, I guess you've all seen, moving very, very quickly in the sort of human health space. We're taking some of those technologies and moving it into the biotech space.
And so as I understand, the team, and I think the original passion for the company was a passion of exploration and adventure and getting out into nature. It almost seems too good to be true that you can make money by going on field trips to the Azores or the Antarctic. Tell us a bit more about why having access to this data is so unique and so essential, and then give us a sense of why should DSM or GSK or anyone care versus the companies who are saying, well, we've got a computer and that's how we make proteins.
So I think on to your second point about the computational element of this, for those of you who are familiar with this biotech space, there's been a lot of advancement in recent years as to the ability to computationally design molecules, computationally design proteins, computationally design microbes, such that they can produce and develop the fuels and products that we're all looking for. Fundamentally, my background is as a computer scientist, as an engineer, all of the sort of latest advancements rely on a good understanding of nature. What we're trying to do always is learn the rules of nature, map the rules of nature, and take that into different industries. And so for the big companies who need access to lots of different areas of nature. We want, and a kind of point that we haven't really touched on yet, is importantly trying to do it in a way that incentivizes the long-term discovery of this. So we build partnerships all around the world, we build partnerships with different people, and we aim to foster that positive relationship, trying to see whether there is a positive relationship to be had, see whether people on both sides can benefit from that kind of interaction.
So would a community in Costa Rica or the Amazon directly benefit from DSM putting an enzyme that was found in that forest in one of their processes? How does that kind of share of benefits work in practice?
So that's exactly the sort of fundamental aim to this. So there's all sorts of benefits involved in this. And being transparent and being honest, we're still working on it. I think working in all these different jurisdictions with all these different companies, all these different economic models is challenging. The way that we do it is we have investment in education, investment in training, particularly in the area that we're good at, so molecular biology, various different eDNA techniques that we invest in. We work on that in various different countries. We then basically a portion of whatever we make from that natural resource goes back to the source location. So it's just another way of us, importantly, not harming biodiversity. Everything has to be intact. We take very, very small samples. If we can extract any information, any value out of that, we will pass a portion of that back to the source location. And that's a lot of the fundamental principles behind the sort of UN protocols that are going on in this space.
And perhaps in the last couple of minutes that we've got, I think the founding story of Basecamp and the original expedition it really adds color to what you're trying to build here. Can you just share a bit more around that, when you did effectively the first in situ sequencing of DNA in a very remote environment?
Yeah, I hesitate to say it's not the first time people have tried this sort of thing, but it was one of the first examples of it doing it successfully. So we set out to study microbial biodiversity in the middle of an ice cap. We spent a month in a tent with my co-founders of Basecamp Research, learning how to extract DNA, how to sequence DNA, how to understand, comprehend what was going on in biodiversity in real time. The sort of transformation technology from that perspective has allowed us to take these portable labs all over the world. So we've been going 2.5 years. We've run 65 expeditions to 18 countries, hydrothermal vents, tops of mountains, that kind of thing. All with the idea of mapping and understanding biodiversity. And importantly, all of that is invested in upfront by us. We don't have grants or anything like that. We are investing in that from the money we make from biotech, and using it as a vehicle, as a resource for understanding more about our natural world. And what I'm here today to try and find are people who want to work with us on that. We have all this data we're collecting from all around the world. We are not experts in conservation, experts in biodiversity monitoring. We want to find partners that we can work with that can make use of this information, make use of the economic drivers that we've got, and find a solution that works for everybody.
So it sounds like the code base of the bioeconomy is in biodiversity. Thank you, Ollie, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.